Hello and welcome to a Talk Lit Get Hit bonus chapter, the little book chats in between the big ones.
We'll talk about reading, authors, and have discussions with people who, like us, can't shut up about books.
We might get sidetracked and talk about literally anything else,
But this is a bonus chapter we wrote just for you. Hello, and welcome to a very special Talk Lit Get Hit bonus chapter. The last episode we released was the 50th episode of our podcast, and we're feeling sentimental. This is a milestone we're so proud to have reached and something we thought was worth celebrating. We've recorded and released 50 hours, 55 minutes, and 4 seconds of podcast episodes, read over 18,000 pages, rated 34 books, lit or shit, and discussed even more, all since November 2022. We never thought we'd be able to say we've had thousands of people listening along, so to celebrate, we thought we'd take a little bit of a self-indulgent trip down memory lane and reflect on some of our favourite bits from episodes gone by.
Our podcast began, as so many do, in a group chat with voice message after voice message being sent between ourselves and our friend Erin. To honour these origins, we're going to put a riff on the theme and play our favourite role as your chatty book besties and set up these clips with a voice message or two that hint at the clips within. We've compiled our favourite podcast bits that made us giggle, discussions of characters, our favourite accents, some mistakes, some terrible sex scenes, our biggest crash outs, and finally a supercut of all the many, many times we mentioned Twilight.
We hope this feels like a chat with friends. In case we don't say it enough, we're so grateful and surprised and excited to have found such a funny and kind and engaged community of readers who are willing to talk lit and shit with us.
This episode is a compilation of our favourite bits from our 50 podcast episodes so far. If you're worried about spoilers, please check out the show notes for a summary of all the books we discuss. The episode contains discussions of death, crude language, and explicit sex scenes. We hope you enjoy the episode, and here's to 50 more. Love from Bridget
And Laura. Hello. Oh my God, today has been such a stinker. I just had a shower and I'm just like thinking about getting into bed. Got hormonal acne all over my chin. Like it is cartography in action. I don't know what to call it, but it freaking sucks. I'm in such a bad mood. So I thought I would cheer myself up by putting on one of our older podcast episodes. And I've got to say, oh shit, we're funny. There are just so many little bits in these episodes that make me laugh. But I mean, I have no idea if they're funny to anyone else, but I would love to chat about some of our faves. I just got to the bit in the Love Hypothesis episode where you're trying to defend the book, but then you discover that it was terrible from page 1. The way you say it is, oh, it's so funny.
It was bad, but I loved it. But this is another bit that is so bad. On the exact same page, page 1. I'm just thinking about the eternal struggle of what to have for dinner, which is very sad. Also very sad about your hormonal acne. Thoughts and prayers. It's actually so funny because I was going to message you earlier today because I was listening to the Before the Coffee Gets Cold episode, and the bit where we randomly start referencing the Santa Claus is so funny to me. I have literally no memory of that.
That may be, which I can't really understand, but that suggests that maybe the ghost is in charge of the time travel.
Ugh.
And is like reading the book relevant to whoever's about to do the time travel.
In that case, I hate her. Make better rules.
Well, it makes no sense because does that then mean when the ghost changes, they are now in charge of time travel?
Oh my God, it's like the Santa Claus.
Yeah, like if that's what's happening, I'm confused
Tim
again.
Allen.
Oh my God, Tim Allen's in charge.
A little wait. You call this a little wait?
A weenie whistle.
I love that movie.
Me too.
Truly, I feel like 90s and 2000s movies, for some reason, are our only point of reference in so many of these episodes. I was cracking up at that bit in the Fourth Wing episode where we're talking about dragons, and for some reason, our only benchmark for dragon lore is Shrek. Insane. I don't know. I love that movie, though. Maybe I should watch it tonight. It's written in a style that I've complained about before on the show, but that kind of style, kind of like we saw in Before the Coffee Gets Cold, that doesn't really have a lot of faith in its reader. And it will say, we were fucked. Dragons didn't want to be friends with people because dragons hate people. It's like, well, it was implied in the first thing you said. Like,
yeah, we get it.
Stop telling me.
Yeah, this book is almost 500 pages long. We get it.
Yeah.
We don't need to keep hearing it.
Also, we're all aware of the stories that you've taken things from. Like, we know dragons. We understand that they're not like people or animals or creatures to be reckoned with. Like, they're dragons. We like even Shrek. The dragon does what the dragon wants to do. The dragon wants to have the donkey babies. It's fine.
Ooh. Yeah, I think the only time you would need to be told is if you're deviating from the commonly accepted lore around the dragons, which we're not, except if the dragons are evil.
Yes. Or if the griffin is donkey.
I'm a donkey on the edge. Shrek, I'm looking down.
Sorry, me again, double voice message. But another one that always makes me laugh is in the If We Were Villains episode, where I think we're having our monthly catch up and I give you one of my honestly worst segues and I say something like, speaking of RIP, because I wanted you to tell that Steve Irwin story, but I think it just kind of freaked you out.
Speaking of RIP.
Bridget was going through a box of heirlooms before.
Oh, no, Bridget.
Yeah, Bridget was hunting through a box of heirlooms, trying to uncover some evidence of our high school dramatic escapade.
Just mysteries of our past, really, because I've forgotten everything.
And you didn't uncover too much in the way of what we got up to in high school, but you did find a really stunning piece of jewelry.
Yeah, if a archaeologist found it in 50 years, it will really show how society was feeling in, I think, October or November of 2006.
To the years.
I picked it up and I was like, oh, a friendship bracelet, cool. And then I read what was on it and it says... in beautiful pastel colours like love hearts, R.I.P. Steve Irwin and Peter Brock. R.I.P. I don't know why I didn't include Colin Teal because he died in the same week. For those of you listening outside Australia, Peter Brock was a V8 supercar racer and he crashed into a tree and died. So that was very sad.
Or same day.
No,
week?
like the same week. Yeah.
It was a tough time to be a child.
Yeah,
in
especially
Australia.
in my family. My family love Peter Brock. We are big bogans. So anyway, put your friendship bracelets out for Peter Brock and Steve Irwin. Rest in peace.
R.I.P.
I think I'm going to wear it. I might put it on right now,
I think
actually.
you should. I think that was such a funny time in like Australian history. I cannot remember another time where students were gathered to watch a public funeral before.
And I remember shushing people in my grade 7 class being like, have some respect.
Yeah.
Bindi Irwin is reading a poem.
Yeah.
My daddy was so nice to me.
Oh.
And John Williamson
Oh my
singing
God.
True Blue. Every time I listen to that, I just cry.
Oh, it's so sad.
We had a memorial in our school, like principal's office, and I wrote a poem and it got put up with the memorial, and I had this line in it that I thought was just like bars. I thought it was so good. And it said something like, Stingray, gotcha now, too late to swim away. And I was like, oof.
That's deep.
That cuts deep.
It
is too late because you're dead.
That's almost like antagonistic.
And
Too late to swim now, Steve.
it's quite menacing.
What are you going to do?
When you told me this story before, I wasn't sure where you were going. I thought you were going to make a reference to Stingray from Neighbours.
Oh, my God.
Also,
Another tragedy.
don't say that.
Where's my bracelet about Stingray?
It's not too late.
Put your camp chairs out for Stingray. Okay, well, if we're in the mood for dredging up past traumas, I think the bit in the New Moon episode about your time on Yahoo Answers is so goddamn funny. The thought of you pouring your little heart out on the internet actually makes me want to cry.
One of my most embarrassing moments is, do you guys remember Yahoo Answers?
Yeah.
I used to go on Yahoo Answers a lot, like asking my little insecure questions like, didn't know how to use the internet, I'd be like, should I get red hair? I have white skin and blue eyes. Would it suit me? Like, how can I be like more like Emma Watson? How do I get people to like me? And it was a brutal place. But one, I remember I was posting in the like sort of creative writing forum or threads or whatever. I can't quite remember how it worked, but I remember being like, would this make a good story? Answer my question. So there's two people, a boy and a girl, and they're from two families that don't get along. In fact, they're in like kingdoms that are like at war with one another, and it's forbidden for them to be together. But then they meet and they don't know who they are. But then they fall in love and their families keep them away, and then they have to make a huge sacrifice. What do you guys reckon? And would that be good? And I was absolutely ripped to shreds by people being like, that's the plot of Romeo and Juliet, you moron. Aww. And I hadn't read it. I didn't know. I was like, I probably had the tools to know this by that point in time. I think it was maybe like grade 8 or something. But I remember being like, of course, it was a joke and you all fell for it. You clearly passed English just like me.
I'm also 17.
Oh my God, poor little baby Laura. I was on Yahoo Answers so much. Tell me how to live my life. I mean, you could have told me, because I feel like you've dished out some pretty good advice on the show. Like, what was it? Your bloody horse blanket analogy from the hating game. Wild metaphor. But I really respected where your head was at. Things take time, you know?
And it was also a bit like breaking in a horse, I was thinking. You know, like
Go on.
You spend a little bit of time with the horse and, you know, you put like a blanket on their back and they get used to having...
I love where you're going with this. I can't wait to hear more. You put a blanket on their back.
So you put a blanket on its back, you know, the horse is getting used to the weight of the saddle. Then you put the saddle on really loose and then you tighten it gradually, blah, blah, blah. But this is how they did their relationship. Like they sat on the couch together watching ER and she was just staring at him watching ER. That was her blanket. She was getting used to like not being scared of him. Yeah, sometimes I just black out and then when I come to, I'm like randomly talking about something that I learned while I was reading like a Saddle Club book or a Thoroughbreds book or like an Enid Blyton book. Oh my God. Anyway, speaking of time, I listened to our wildfire episode the other day and I was wondering why we sounded so drunk at the end of that episode. Like in my mind, we weren't really drinking for that long and like none of us are big drinkers. But when I went and looked at the original file, it's 4 hours long. No wonder we lost it by the end.
Thank God we prefaced this by saying, oh, hey, we're drinking because I've been doing a lot of glasses cooking.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard before, but I like pretty sure I chipped my tooth on the metal straw. So if you hear a big clunk, then mind your own business.
That's so funny. I feel like there have been some books since then as well where we haven't even been drinking, but by the end of the episode we've been like confused, disheveled, dehydrated. I'm really surprised by how often that happens. I think for me, probably the most recent one was the Spanish love deception episode. It was just so painful. And I was very upset to find out that she wrote the American Roommate Experiment as well. And God forbid she writes another sequel, but if she ever does want to, she can come to us for naming ideas.
So this is just another subpar romance book where they spend a lot of time setting up for future cash grab books where they write a whole story about someone who was so boring that they shouldn't even be in the first one. I was wondering if you had any ideas for what she could call the third book in the series. So we had the Spanish love deception and then we had the American Roommate Experiment. I was thinking like the Italian criminal investigation or something. What do you think her next one should be?
A Russian mafia showdown or something.
It's a pretty good recipe because she's got a lot of countries she could do this for.
Yeah.
She could keep going for a long time. The Macedonian mace spray incident.
The Sydney hostel incident.
Yeah, she could even branch out to cities.
Yeah. Why stop there? The Toowoomba Range breakdown.
Toowoomba Range breakdown is inspired, and honestly, I would read that. As we say in Toowoomba, T-bar repping it, ain't nothing wrong with that. I am so sick of reading these books with these Americans though. I mean, I feel bad. I know we've spoken about this before, I think maybe in our A Good Girl's Guide to Murder episode or something. I know it's bad. # not all Americans, blah, blah, blah. But please, let's agree to not read another book set in America.
I was also happy that it was set in the UK. I had just assumed it was set in America. I think I just sort of had thought like precocious teenagers and murder. That's like a very American kind of duo. To paint with really broad strokes.
I have been thinking of saying this a lot lately, but I'm really sorry to all the American listeners. Like, we have a lot of American listeners, and I'm really sorry. We just constantly slander you. It's not you guys. It's the other ones.
Sorry for party rocking. That's hilarious because I think we slagged off Americans twice in that episode. Sorry to all Americans. Her whole personality was based around like she does homework and she's a good girl. To the extent that she had multiple times where she was like, maybe I'm not really a good girl after all. Oh, maybe I'm not really sorry America again.
Copping flack for something that wasn't even you.
Sorry, I guess I'm not really a good girl after all.
I'm going to go walk my dog in the woods.
My dog's dead. Flippin' heck.
I didn't put my dog on a leash. This is what happens when you walk a dog, not on a leash.
Doggy dad.
It's a dog world out there.
Doggy do's and doggy don'ts. Doggy wills and doggy won'ts.
The books are bad, but let's be real. The real stinkers are the characters we met along the way. Anastasia Steele, the other Anastasia in Icebreaker. Oh my God. It must be the name. In a way, I think I'm kind of thankful that one of our first podcast episodes was the love hypothesis, because I think Olive, like the tree, set the bar so high for all the other books that we've read. I know that I personally am constantly referring to her, so thanks, Olive. Thanks, Ali. That quote where her bestie is describing her though, oh God, it made me sick.
I don't know. I was just wondering, like, okay, so this one section that really made me think that, let me find it. They're riffing, this is a section in the book where they're talking about what if Adam does like Olive and like how she should just tell him how she feels. And then she's like, there's no way. Why not? Because what? Because he's him. He's Carlson. And she trailed off. No need to continue. And I'm me. I'm nothing special. Malcolm was quiet for a long moment. You have no idea, do you? His tone was sad. You're great. You're beautiful and loving. You're independent and a genius scientist and selfless and loyal. Hell, oh, look at this ridiculous mess you created just so your friend could date the guy she likes without feeling guilty. There's no way Carlson hasn't noticed. Piss off, Azzy.
Yuck.
Yuck. Vomit in my mouth.
Let's not forget, though, the girlies from the Icebreaker and the Wildfire universe. What do we even call that? Hannah Grace universe? I don't know, but we'll see you in court, Hannah Grace. The bit in the Icebreaker episode where you can't fathom how to pronounce Anastasia's nickname is so unhinged. I also love at the end of Wildfire where we're just like scrambling to finish, trying to, use our 2 remaining brain cells to think of our favorite characters. And I say Aurora or whatever her name was, and you're like, yeah, good for you, Aurora. And I'm like, yeah, jumping on the train. It's fine. Got nothing to say, but when has that ever stopped us before?
I think the first thing we need to establish is Anastasia and her KGB nickname.
KGB?
Hang on. What?
I don't know if we can say that.
What are you talking about?
The KGB?
Like the Stasi. That's what I thought it was. What about you, Bridget?
I think it's a tie between Russ and Aurora. I like them both.
Yeah,
and I feel like we really do have a track record of being like borderline misogynist when we talk about the female main character, so I feel like I need to chuck her in for some
I did find her
karma.
quite relatable. And probably should have talked about this when we were talking about the character. But like,
better late than never.
Good for you, Aurora. Yeah, that's all I'll say about that. Thanks.
Sorry, what are we good for viewing her on?
Just a general
not annoying
journey
me.
of life. Thanks for your service.
Good for you, babe. You're not annoying.
Oh, I hate it here. Oh my God. I actually feel like I've lost it slightly just thinking about reading those books. I know you said Olive set the bar high, and I do think that's true, but let's also not forget that no one set the bar higher than our girl Anastasia Steele. I just keep thinking about our 50 Shades episode and like how I thought that everyone was being so dramatic for saying it was the worst book ever, but it really was that bad. Should we revisit some clips from that tragic era of our lives? So I was trying to catalogue these moments that I called Naughty Anastasia, which was just where she would do things that was just so dumb, and then she'd be like, oh my God, I can't believe I just did that. Like, and one in particular that truly, truly made me spiral was...
Wait, can I guess what it is?
Yes.
Is it the toothbrush?
Yeah. Oh God. Do you want to do the honors?
Well, I've got 4 like sections, unhinged parts. First one's called Are You Stupid? The second one is Womp Womp. The third one is Visceral Reactions. And this one was in Visceral Reactions. She used Christian's toothbrush, not once, but twice. And she said, I felt so naughty. It's such a thrill. And I just wrote R.I.P. Laura. Because we've had this conversation before in the romantic comedy episode, and it's one of my favorite bits from any episode we've ever done, because you're like, hang on, we cannot gloss over this because you are so appalled that you think that Erin thought it was okay for the character to use someone's toothbrush, and you are so affronted by it.
I, to this day, am upset by that.
And I could not believe it happened twice. And I could not believe how stupid she was about it. She was like scampering around like a little pixie, being like, I used his toothbrush.
Another one was when she says to him, does this mean you're going to make love to me tonight, Christian?
My God.
Holy shit. Did I just say that? His mouth drops open slightly, but he recovers quickly. Another one was when she just cannot comprehend where the heck her underwear has gone and why he would be taking them. And he's like, why hasn't he given me back my panties? I steal into the bathroom, bewildered by my lack of underwear. She just has no thoughts. And like, she contradicts herself frequently. Mm-hmm. It will say something like, I love this uncomplicated man. Or then like, this isn't like Christian at all. And then I don't know Christian at all. Like, I'm so surprised. I shouldn't have been surprised at all. Like, just stop thinking. We don't want to hear any of it. Please.
You're not overthinking. A few times, like, she's accused of overthinking. She's underthinking. She's barely conscious. She's barely sentient. She's so stupid. I hate her so much.
I hate her so much as well.
She's so much worse than Bella. I've had, like, pretty strong feelings about Bella for most of my life, but I've forgotten everything I ever hated about Bella. I hate Anastasia.
Apart from Naughty Anastasia, one of my other sections was Anastasia the Free Thinker. And I just truly cannot understand the stupid lines in the sand she draws for the sake of being different.
I hate her.
So much. Oh, God.
I think the reason why I think she's an old woman is because of this line on page 4. She's given Kate the soup. She's been like, would you like NyQuil or Tylenol? Which is another like American thing.
Panadol or Nurofen, babe.
She's given Kate the soup. She's made sure she's got her medication. She's made some sort of slut-shamey comment about how hot Kate is and how that annoys her and whatever. But then she gets in Kate's car, and Kate's car is a sporty Mercedes CLK. Oh, the Merc is a fun drive, and the miles slip away as I hit the pedal to the metal. And from that moment on, middle-aged mother.
Like we always said, what is lost by just aging them up in Twilight a bit? We have slightly aged up characters, and this is what you choose to do with it.
I feel like it really wore us thin. Like we were threadbare by the end of that episode. And then like at the end of that episode on The Housemaid, you're so done with those girls that are just not like other girls. You're kind of melting down and I really love it so much. And I think it's some of your best work. Another time that you did this was in the Sunrise on the Reaping episode where we were reminiscing about our time reading Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Every time I think about the Covey now, I just can't stop myself from laughing.
It was one of those situations where it's like, hey, we're going to tell you she's like a ragtag, like bad gal, like jailbird, like misfit rock star.
Millie from the Block.
And I will say that I enjoyed this furtherment of the Covey. I found them, to be honest, I found them more embarrassing
in the last one.
Yeah, same. Like, stop singing. Stop having special names.
Put some shoes on.
Yeah, for God's sake. I hate hippies.
Okay.
Goddamn beatniks.
Stop moving around so much.
Just stay still.
Actually, that reminds me, while we're on the topic of you saying funny things, I think you have a real talent for accents, and the fact that you haven't pursued a career in like voice work is honestly a crime. I think we really lost our minds when we were talking about the names in Fourth Wing, but the whole A Good Girl's Guide to Murder episode as well. Like we were just in meltdown mode about the audiobook that you forced me to listen to, by the way. Was having a great time up until then, but we won't get back into that because God knows we raved on enough about it in the episode.
Before we move on to talking about the dragons, I do want to say that this author, bless her, has clearly never gone to primary school in Australia in the 90s to 2000s and had the trauma of the naughty Aiden names.
Yeah.
Because
it's so true.
Zayden, worst of the worst. I've never met a Zayden, but
especially with a Y. There's no Y in this one, but if it was in Toowoomba, it would have a Y.
People with Ys in their name can't be trusted.
Z-A-Y.
Braden, Aiden,
Hayden. Hayden's aren't too bad, I guess.
Hayden.
I knew of a Bladen once.
Yeah. Even just a blade. Zane.
Xander.
Xander.
That's a little ankle biting name. That's a little, he's got like a white blonde rat's tail.
He's running through Coles with no shoes on in his pajamas at 6 o'clock on a Monday night.
Yuck.
Zayden, get back here. What'd you just put in the trolley?
Also, Jack.
Yep.
Yeah.
Naughty boy.
Dane.
Oren, get back here now.
And also Dane's dragon, Kath. I was like, Kath is not a dragon. Like, Kath wears pedal pushers and gets a skinny mugachino. Like, oh, hello, love.
Even Dane. Dano.
Dane.
Zato.
Oh. Hi, Ravi, she said.
You don't know me. I'm Pippa Fitzimoby. I was a couple of years below you at school before you left.
Okay.
I was just wondering if I could borrow a jiffy of your time. Well, not a jiffy. Did you know a jiffy is actually an actual measurement of time? It's 1/100th of a second, so maybe you can spare a few sequential jiffies.
Oh, God. This is what happened when she was nervous or backed into a corner. She started spewing useless facts dressed up as bad jokes. But I just couldn't deal with it. It was so embarrassing. And you're so right. Like, the dad was a good time until you listened to the audiobook.
I really wanted to love him, this like loud stomping man who's a lawyer and like he's so cool, but the stupid things he said and the stupid way the narrator said he said it.
All I can think is like, hello, Pippo!
Shut it, please. Oh, God, we don't want to hear it.
My Pipsicle, you were too clever to recycle a joke.
Pickle.
Even when she was like, at the end, she'd just been roofied. She had just run through the woods and she was strangled. He was still like, pickle. Shut it.
Thank you so much for recognizing my passion and commitment to accents. They are, I wouldn't say a calling, but a special area of interest of mine. And I think alongside the accent, something else that we used to love doing when we were making our film and TV productions was a training montage with music. And so I think the time could be right for one now. It is a truth universally acknowledged that a trio of podcasters endowed with an audience of respectable size must be in pursuit of venerable literature to critique with vigour.
Extreme ownership by Jocko Willink and Leaf Babin.
Nate, like, don't F this up. She's so fun and sexy and cool.
This marriage, it's going to be a problem. She is going to be a problem.
Being gone is a relief. I'm different.
Me and my mom.
I actually want to help people. I actually care about people.
Oh, Penelope.
Some nights, when he's walking past her door, he has to whisper to himself, keep going.
Hey, chica.
Why do I find him kinda... what's this feeling? Sexy?
Honey, I'm home. I've just spent my day at the office, like drinking coffee around the water cooler.
They were in Paris, pushed up against a wall. They had sex. Then they went to Ibiza. They were in the clubs. On the beach, they had sex.
Life sucks, and then you die.
A young girl. Little girl.
He feels like the entire world is in the palm of his hand. Coming soon to cinemas near you.
I got straight to dissecting the situation. We were going to have to do some serious CPR on our friendship.
I'm just trying to calculate how that thing could fit, or like, I'm just thinking about how it might split me in half. Like,
oh, his arms were so veiny and so huge. Like, he was such a large man. Like, he was ... so attractive.
And the man was like, this is gonna hurt. And she's like, how do you know? And he's like, trust me. But after that, it will feel so good. And she's like, okay, I trust you.
I put my dick inside her. It felt so good. I was like, oh. I would do anything to hear her laugh one more time.
Yeah, that's my job. I don't really know if I'm good at it, though.
I love Pride and Prejudice. I read the classics.
You could take it, or like, let me know if it hurts or whatever. Like,
she distracts him. His feelings for her, they distract him.
A jiffy. She was wearing a tiny dress that hugged every curve.
And then I just ran.
Show me the penis.
And then I just ran.
Naughty Bridget's nasty mummy.
I did a thing.
She's my girl.
To Heathrow, I kissed a werewolf.
America.
Go get your guy.
There's nothing worse.
Hippo.
We're fuck-ups.
Never call her again.
Yeah.
Get me away from these flames.
One of my favourite accents of yours is the cold open of our Pride and Prejudice episode. Hearing the phrase, I fucked it up in such an immaculate English accent would surely have Jane Austen rolling in her grave.
It is a truth universally acknowledged that a trio of podcasters endowed with an audience of respectable size must be in pursuit of venerable... Oh, I fucked it up. I mean, if we're talking about mistakes, then I think we also need to be talking about growth, because listening back to some of our earlier episodes is just so funny, but not necessarily, unfortunately, because we are funny. I think... like, you know, some of the bits we're just speaking so slowly, or I'll intro a segment and I think, like, really? That's what we went with? No one had a better idea? We left it as that? One of my favourite moments was when we were recording remotely and I asked you about a book we'd both read.
But I did read I'm Glad My Mum Died.
Yeah, I did like it. I found it like quite an unpleasant read at the same time, because it was obviously like a really heavy subject matter, and yeah, it was quite grueling, hey. I just felt really drained at the end, but not necessarily in the way. It's a thin line. I don't know why this didn't fulfill me in the same way that other books that make me cry did. Did you like it?
Yeah.
I think it was great. Say more.
Got a lot of thoughts on that.
I'm so glad that we had this chat.
Moving on.
Even after being roasted, still have nothing to say.
Next question. No further comment from Bridget.
Yeah, don't ask.
Another good one that just makes me want to crawl up into a hole and probably die is your audio in our beach read episode. It was the middle of summer and you were sweating it out in Brisbane with no aircon, no windows open because it was too noisy for the recording. But unfortunately, we could still hear the cacophony of crickets that were going off at such a deafening pitch in your audio. Every time it switches between your audio and mine and Erin's audio is so funny. It cracks me up. I think at the time I sort of justified it to myself. It's like beach read, summer, crickets, summer. Get it? Summer.
Yet another book marketed as a rom-com enemies to lovers type read, and that is Beach Read by Emily Henry.
I was trying not to do it, but it just feels so natural.
As always, before we dive in, those earlier episodes are so funny, and remote recording was so hard at that point in time for some reason. I do remember it being particularly painful after we'd recorded our initial episode, and it took us like 8 hours for some reason. But we went in without any plan and we realized we didn't discuss anything about the plot or like the characters or anything useful or productive. So we had to do it again in little bits and pieces. It sucked so bad. I think we might have talked about it in our Before the Coffee Gets Cold episode. So funny.
If you were in the cafe, do you have anything that you would go back to, do you think? Anyone that you would go back to, have a chat to, anything like that?
No, I really am not looking for any sort of closure in my life, to be honest.
I was thinking the same thing. I don't think I have regrets that would need time travel to be addressed. Like, I don't think I have regrets generally, but if I did, I would just message them and not go back in time.
And not have an actual conversation.
Yeah.
Text it. If we had our first ever podcast meeting there, I'd go back and be like, psst, you're going to be incredibly famous.
Yeah, actually, maybe that's a good way of looking at it. It's like,
You won't release this episode for 8 months. But
by God, when you do.
You will also have to re-record this episode.
You will record these episodes so long after reading the books, you have no idea what happens anymore.
Yeah, maybe I would say, like, check out the Wikipedia page before you record.
Make sure you know about Lucian's family before you record.
Create a detailed family tree as you read.
That's so funny.
I feel like your editing makes us sound so professional, though, when we're not always professional, not always holding it together. And like sometimes the mistakes can be good. Like one that I would never ever let you cut out is gravel rice from our life and death episode.
Oh, let me tell you, Maddie bought me this ice machine for my birthday and it is the best present I've ever received in my whole life. I love pebbled ice so much. We didn't know what it was called. We were calling it gravel rice.
Gravel rice.
Drinks are working. Gravel ice. And it's just really enriched my life. So, yes, we've had the ginger beer with gravel rice. Oh, my God, I said it again. Normally when we make these mistakes, it's actually really great because we can pick one of them to use as our cold open. But this next clip is my favorite cold open I think that we've ever done. And even though we would have made many, many, many mistakes in our A Good Girl's Guide to Murder episode, I could not get past this one. And honestly, mentally, I'm still there.
What a calamity.
What a calamity. What, you think I killed her, do ya?
What's it to you, punk?
Be careful, Pip, you don't know what you're messing with here.
Something that I'm always really excited to discuss with you is the synopsis music in our episodes. And I feel like they're a bit of an inside joke, but I'm never quite sure if the joke comes across properly or it seems like we're being really sincere. But I just hope the listeners know that the synopsis music is the funniest joke to me every single time. I think a great example of this is the synopsis music that we picked for the Before the Coffee Gets Cold episode. There is a coffee machine that sounds like it has the same engine as a monster truck.
What would you change if you could go back in time?
Another one that always cracks me up is the synopsis music from Icebreaker. We were going for like a Hallmark, wintry, Ice Princess kind of vibe, but it just sounded a bit insane.
Anastasia Allen has worked her entire life for a shot at Team USA. A competitive figure skater since she was 5 years old, a full college scholarship thanks to her place on the Maple Hills skating team, and a schedule that would make even the most driven person weep, Anastasia comes to win. No exceptions.
And I think finally, the last one that just completely wrecks me every single time is the music that we chose for our Red, White and Royal Blue episode. For some reason, the start of it is really, really quiet. Like there's some kind of drums or going off at the start, but then all of a sudden, there's these freaking trumpets. First son, Alex Claremont Diaz, is the closest thing to a prince this side of the Atlantic.
With his intrepid sister and the Veep's genius granddaughter, they're the White House Trio, a beautiful millennial marketing strategy for his mother, President Ellen Claremont.
International socialite duties do have downside, namely when photos of a confrontation with his longtime nemesis, Prince Henry, at a royal wedding leak to the tabloids and threaten American and British relations.
It was quite nice listening to that music, actually. I wouldn't say any of them made me feel particularly zen, but I will take what piece I can get because, I'm so sorry to do this, but I'm about to bring up something so upsetting. Unfortunately, that beautiful music has sort of put me in a trance and jogged some repressed memories, and I'm remembering some of the sex scenes we've read in vivid detail. The Love Hypothesis, Icebreaker, Fourth Wing, Bridgerton, 50 Shades of Grey, Bride. There's just so many. So many. I'm reading a lot this episode, but I really want to read this section when he finally gets it in. I've highlighted it. It's bright yellow and it has a note tab. You're so big. He groaned into her neck. His entire body was vibrating with tension. You can take it. I can, she told him, voice reedy, and her breath caught halfway through the second word. Women gave birth after all, except that he was not in. Not really. Not even half. And there was just no more room. Olive looked up at him. His eyes were closed, dark half moons against his skin, and his jaw was tense. What if it's too much?
The women gave birth, bitch.
Really pulled me out of it.
Yes.
Ew.
If you're thinking about giving birth, your head is not in the game.
She's a scientist.
God,
that she's really put a critical eye to that. Yeah.
Coming to probably the worst part of the book, in my opinion, was the Uber car trip. So if you haven't read the book, this is one of the first times they hang out / hook up.
It is so early in the book.
Yeah, it's page 107 or something, and they are in the Uber. First of all, there are too many people.
It's unsafe.
Too many people in the Uber, and he slips them money, so there's more. She is sharing a seatbelt with Nate.
So dangerous.
I hated that so much. I have so many problems with this. One of my main problems is that the song that is playing on the radio, Cruel Summer, that is not a song.
My heart broke for you when I read that.
It's not a song to get it on in front of all of your friends in a confined space. Choose another song, please, Hannah Grace.
It is a weird choice when, as a writer, you could pick any song.
Even any Taylor Swift song. If you were thinking of a sex song, there's many songs that could be a sex song. Cruel Summer is not one of them. Dress.
The vibe? What is the vibe of Cruel Summer?
It's like
summer poppy vibe.
It's so weird. It's the weirdest choice. But then also, how gross was it when Lola was knew what was going on, turned around and I need fresh air.
When she opens the window and she's like, does it smell like sex in here? Obviously.
Disgusting.
But my favorite bit is when I think it's JJ is like, does anyone want McDonald's?
Way to go, King. I can just imagine the excruciating experience of being in that Uber and pretending like you're not hearing or seeing or whatever it is that's happening.
The driver was sober. The driver!
And how big is this car? So 8 of them went out, right? So it has to be a an SUV of some description, there has to be more than just Lola in the back seat with them. Well, assuming most seats in the back of a car are 3 people, so there has to be 2 people next to them as they're getting it on.
Oh.
Like, where's Henry in this car? Why isn't he like, stop it?
It just, I couldn't believe it. Like, she throws in those, like, nobody was listening or, like, nobody was even paying attention lines, but there's just no way. I was getting, like, hives. I was so stressed.
I hated it.
It was just gross.
Another time when they were in the kitchen.
At his house?
Oh, my God. And the sister walks in. And you know what? I am not opposed to, like, a backseat of the car situation, but it didn't have to be explicit. It would have been much better if it was just a building sexual tension. I don't know, some roaming hands or something, nothing too offensive.
Yeah.
That would have been much more impactful than whatever the fuck that was. I also really liked Zayden's dragon, and I liked the relationship between the dragons. But I don't know that I liked that Zayden and Violet could speak to the other's dragon. Just because they were mated?
I didn't really care about that, but I really didn't like that when the dragons were getting it on.
I forgot about the fucking.
I really hated that.
I forgot about it.
That felt wrong.
And when he's like smoking weeds, he doesn't get turned on. Okay, Zayden.
You know, like when you're playing like Grand Theft Auto or something and you get attacked and you're nearly ready to die and around the edges of the screen is like red? That's what I was imagining her vision was like when she was like stumbling through the castle trying to get away from Liam.
Doped up on secondhand dragon horniness.
It was so funny.
Oh, God, it was just crazy. But, like, what made her think to do that? What made the author go, you know what this book needs? Dragons fucking.
I think that you actually decided to read this after you saw a TikTok talking about the mirror scene and you were like, this could be good. I think you sent it to me and said I might read Bridgerton.
Yeah, it sounded... I liked the idea. It struck a chord in me. What can I say?
So if you're not sure of what we're talking about, I mean, I don't really want to read this, but someone has to.
This was built up to be like
the scene.
Yeah. Breathlessly awaiting this to play out in season 3. And what do we have written on the page? Maddie, take it away.
We force her to come on the show and then make her read the things we don't want to read. Okay, well,
happy to read it. Yeah.
So, I mean, basically he's straddling her and then, like, he's undressing, she's undressing and he's like, oh, I haven't thought about anything else in the last few weeks other than your boobs in like a apparently more sexy way than that.
Heaving
and
bosom.
he said he's thought of it 1,000 times, pictured them 100 times, but they could never be as good as what I'm seeing right now. And she's like, oh, okay, like says nothing. Then he smiles a wicked, wicked smile. He reached out and covered her with both his hands, squeezing lightly as he tested the weight and shape of her. He moaned raggedly, then sucked in his breath. I could see Laura's face as he adjusted his fingers so that her nipples popped up between them. This is meant to be the height of their sexual tension, and we can't even get through it.
Nice. Wicka wicka.
TJ.
I am really starting to come around to your concept of Anastasia Steele as an elderly woman, because a couple of things that I had highlighted, I called it like old sport language or Southern mama language. One was in the section where she says, holy crap, how? She didn't know how to put on a condom. She says, I admire my handiwork and him. He really is a fine specimen of a man. Looking at him is very, very arousing. Shut up. Another section is Christian talking, and he says, oh, Anastasia, you taste mighty fine, he breathes. Shall I make you come? Please, I beg. And then later on in the page, well done, baby, he murmurs. Did that hurt? No, I breathe. I can barely keep my eyes open. Why am I so tired? Did you expect it to? And then it's like turns motivational. You see, most of your fears in your head, Anastasia. Would you do it again?
It's just so stupid. There was one bit, and they're in the playroom and they're having sex. She's tied up to like a pole. I don't know. Who cares, honestly, what they're doing at any point? But he goes, "Hold on, Anastasia." He shouts through clenched teeth. Like she's riding a horse.
Oh.
We're about to
Easy,
jump
girl.
over the canyon. Hold on. So stupid.
And I don't know.
Hold on to what?
You tied up her hands, babe. She's trying her best.
Oh.
And then when he unties her, he's like, easy, mama. Well, there, girl.
I'll get you fed and watered.
Live a nice Caesar salad and Diet Coke.
So stupid. Nettle soup.
Astonishingly, my favourite Anastasia Steele line comes mere lines after hold on, Anastasia.
Is it when they've cleared the canyon?
They're over the canyon. So she's trussed up.
Oh my God.
My arms are aching. My legs feel uncertain. My scalp is getting sore from his tugging on my hair, and I can feel a gathering deep inside me. Oh no. And for the first time, I fear my orgasm.
Is she going to shit herself?
If I come, I'll collapse.
How will she hold on?
My
She
body
collapses.
is responding. How? But suddenly, Christian Steele's slamming really deep. Come on, Anastasia, give it to me, he groans. And then, after he cuts her off the thing, he says, I declare this Anna open. And, sorry, there could be a good segue, but one of the most egregious things he says is when he's talking about Kate and Elliot.
Oh, yeah.
Do we want to talk about it now?
Yeah. Keep going.
He says they are busy making the beast with two backs.
What does it mean? Why did he say that?
The devil lives within them, Anastasia.
I don't think we really need to keep this in as well, but there was something like some logistics that I just could not. Just like trying to visualize this, it takes very little, just a few thrusts through my folds, but we're on the brink. The blunt head of his cock is bumping against my clit, but it's already gone through the folds.
Unless it's like
how
hot
dense-
dog situation.
How dense are her folds? And then it says, and when he pulls back out of the folds, it's caught against her entrance, so he pulls back. Like, what shape is his penis? How is the head of his penis
In the folds.
in the folds,
Against
but
the
also
clitoris.
touching her clit, and then back? It's just like, Ali, gonna need someone to run their eyes over this one, because, again, I might gross myself out too much to include this in the episode, but just like, he did really start to gross me out in the end when he was like, you're so warm inside, so wet, just for my knot. That's like, oh. Just quickly moving past it.
Oh my God, they're so bad. Like, I go a few months without thinking about these books or listening to the episodes, and then it all just comes crashing back. I think another thing about some of these books that we've read is that the crash outs are not exclusive to the sex scenes. Like, it is always just some bullshit, and they're so bad. And it's always the same culprits. Once again, we've got the love hypothesis, before the coffee gets cold, icebreaker, red, white, and royal blue, eclipse, the so-called romantic comedy, 50 Shades of Grey, and Bride.
Olive is one of the most boring characters I've ever had to listen to.
Oh my God. I'm right there with you.
I can't stand her. And I think Anne is a shit friend.
I liked Anne.
What?
No.
Oh, wait, no, sorry. I liked Olive.
No, you didn't.
I felt bad for her.
Oh my god.
You've pitied her.
I hate Olive, but I think she's poorly written. She had promise, but she's boring as hell and I hate her.
Was there any well-written character in this book?
No.
Thanks. Correct.
Sorry, I feel like I'm shouting, but I hate them all.
I would say I liked Adam as well.
No, you didn't. Shut up.
I did.
No, you didn't.
I loved Adam so much.
He did grow on me as the book went on.
Oh my
But-
God.
No, I wouldn't go so far as to say I liked him.
I didn't like any of the others, but I did like Adam and I did like Olive.
Oh god.
To me, all of the characters, there was absolutely nothing that differentiated them on paper.
No.
Apart from the fact that she would say, said Anne, said
Yeah.
Adam. Like they were all like the same bullshit millennial pumpkin
Yes.
spice, smart ass, like
Oh
witty.
my fucking god.
Like I'm so cool. Oh my god. When Kazu says, when you return to the past, you must drink the entire cup of coffee before it goes cold. And she goes, I don't actually like coffee that much. And then she has this whole internal monologue. Like, Fumiko felt herself wavering. She was assailed by countless worries, the most immediate of which was that the coffee that Kazu poured would be revolting. She felt she should be able to handle the taste of coffee. But what if it is really peppery? What if it is wasabi-flavored coffee? How can I possibly drink an entire cup of that? And she starts spiraling. And it's like, why are you prepared to time travel but not drink a cup of coffee? Like, get some mental fortitude. Be stronger.
This part is actually where I started last night. I did start this a week ago and I only got about 38 pages in. And I was just so uninterested in it and I just couldn't bring myself to pick it up until last night. But this is where I started last night. But say I don't drink it and I turn into a ghost. That's pretty worrying. You reckon?
I mean, they haven't really told you what that means for you. Like,
And then she was assailed by countless worries. What you just read out. Are these really the most immediate worries for you
Yeah.
right now?
What if it's bitter?
What if it tastes like wasabi? How could I possibly drink an entire cup of that? It just felt to me like her personality
didn't lend itself to time travel. In my brain, the author got like 3/4 of the way through, realized that they were together and was like, fuck, now I need to write some plot into this shit. And that's why the end is just full of all these plot points.
It's
She
so
almost
weird.
dies. Something happens with the sister. Like, we meet the dad. The dad's an asshole. It's all happening.
I
at
have
the
a
end.
real problem with how she almost died. Because are you telling me you're an ice skater
I know.
and you don't have any worries
never
about your
skated
safety?
on ice. Yeah.
The second they said we're going to go skate on ice at a lake, I was like, no, you're not. Have you not read Little Women? Like, are you for real? Oh, I was so angry.
I think there's a few more moments that we do need to talk about.
Definitely.
When she does the splits on his dick. Iconic. Slay. Second point. The minions.
I thought that was funny.
He is dressed as Gru and they are having sex and she is into it. Not good. I mean, we don't yuck someone else's yum on this show.
Not good. I forgot that that's how he was dressed.
I've got plenty more where that came from.
Oh my god.
Maybe he's going for the Steve Carell.
So Anastasia does say that Nate is dumb because he hasn't been to therapy and can't articulate his emotions like she can, so she forgives him. But this is so funny. On page 136, she says, "Don't be gentle. Fuck me like you hate me." And then on the next page, when it switches to his
forgot
point
about
of
that.
view, he's like, "I thought about what it would be like to fuck her when she called me rich hockey kid and then proceeded to tell me how much she didn't give a shit about hockey." And he's like,
Powering up.
he's like, "Tell me you hate hockey again." So lame.
What a simple boy.
And then I also thought that perhaps he and Adam from the Love Hypothesis should start a support group for dudes with dicks that don't fit anywhere, because on page 134 it says, he helps me strip him down until he's standing in front of me in only his boxers, which is the moment I realize there is absolutely no way it will fit in my mouth or anywhere else for that matter. Disgraceful!
I trauma blocked that from my mind.
My really fucked line from Lola as well is when she says, Nate keeps sliding them in so easily, just like he did with your kitty cat. I don't want friends like that.
If I had a friend that spoke to me like that, I would not have a friend anymore. I can't believe you listened to this as an audiobook. Were you in public at any point?
It was as excruciating as you can imagine. I listened on like triple speed, but it still didn't go fast enough. Something about what you just said about how it wouldn't fit in her mouth. And then later she deep throats him. Why are they always deep throating? Like, it's the easiest thing in the world. And if he is so fucking big, like, good Lord, it's just not cricket.
Maybe she's like Freddie Mercury and she wasn't born with the teeth.
I think you're onto something. I'm crying.
And they don't even live in the same country.
Yeah.
And two people that have been brought up in their world, so like Alex's world of American politics and Henry's role within the monarchy, two people have been raised to fulfill these positions. It has always been known that this would happen. They have no regard for security. They have no regard for their privacy. They are not at all worried about what's going to happen. They're always in public drunk. Like, they're just walking around, they're emailing. Why would you email? Oh my God, if you are the first son.
It's incredible,
and
isn't
the
it?
Prince of the United Kingdom, you don't send your thoughts through email. This has never ended well, and it never will.
It's insane.
It's a private server.
Especially in an election period. And the British tabloids are always out for blood.
Nasty.
It's so dumb.
Bella sleeps and also gets a charm bracelet.
Very 2000s.
I remember frothing that the first time reading it, though. I love a
Just
charm bracelet.
one little comment about the charm bracelet. She is so dumb. She was like, wait, it's a diamond? What did you think it was?
Yeah, you fucking
know.
idiot. And like, how is it being crystal somehow better than it being diamond anyway?
Oh
like,
my goodness me. Anyway.
Sorry.
Sorry. It really...
Brush it off. Walk it out, ladies. And then just like the fact that they rock up and Jerry's like in shit and they're like, oh my God, we've got to clean Jerry's shit. And it's like so drastic, but this is like the last third of the novel. But they're still like finding time to be like, but he's so cute. Like, he's so cute. And like, oh, the neighbors there as like a little bit of like levity to be like, I'm sorry to pry, but was that famous handsome man? It was
I'm sorry,
so
but it's Jerry
disrespectful.
learning guitar. It's so funny. Like, Jerry's dying, you guys. Like, he is literally fucking dying, and you're all like, oh my God, is that Noah? Oh, hey, Noah.
It was despicable.
And when she's like, do you even know how to shop at Target?
Oh, God.
You for real? How is that at the front of your mind? Your stepdad is dying.
It would have made more sense as well if it was over a longer period of time, because then at least the pandemic would have been at a later date. For me, what I was thinking about was like, you are so worried about Jerry's sister. You're shopping for them. You don't let them leave the house because Jerry's sister is immunocompromised or something. But you're going to email this guy for a week. You've got a chip on your shoulder about him already. Like, you're always having breakdowns about this man. You're going to get in the car. You're going to drive across the country, picking up who knows what variant of COVID, honestly.
Across the way, yeah.
Brushing your teeth in service stations everywhere.
Gross.
And then you're going to go to this man's house, and because you're in a pod, now. That's fine. You can have sex for 3 times in the afternoon or whatever. And we've got to hear about it and how he jizzed on her stomach and
Never more, never less.
mess on her stomach and blah, 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 blah. But that's all fine because they're in a pod now. And then, oh, shit, Jerry's sick. Let's go back.
Fuck the pod.
I forgot about COVID. We're going to go give him more COVID. He's dying. And then they get there and then, like, the doctor comes in his full hazmat suit. They're just walking around the house in masks. It doesn't really help if you're next to this man who's shit the bed and you're in the shower with him and, like, you're, like, trying to look after this man who is dying. And then you're hanging out with the neighbors. It made me so annoyed. There was stupid things. So if they had like left it until 2021, like it still would have been a bit insane, but like maybe not as dangerous. I woke up in his bed. I didn't have my toothbrush. My toothbrush was in the car. Oh, my clothes are in the car. Where's my shoes? Where's my socks? Oh my God, which bathroom am I going to go in? I can't go in that bathroom. I'm going to go brush my teeth, but I can't brush my teeth because I don't have a toothbrush. Maybe rich people have some stuff behind the thing. No, there was only this. I brushed my teeth with my finger. Shut up. Shut up. Oh my God, just go outside and get your stuff. Shut up.
She wasn't
so
wearing
angry.
any pants.
Just take his pants.
She's on a
but
private
open a
estate.
cupboard.
I don't
Wake him up.
I don't understand why she didn't just use his toothbrush.
They have slept together 3
Hang on.
times.
We can't gloss over that.
What?
You would use someone else's toothbrush?
They've just hooked up and she can't find another one. Why not?
No way. Would you use
I
Brian's
wouldn't
toothbrush?
know. That
It-
one.
in a situation like that, I think it's totally
No,
fine to use someone
I
else's
don't
If, your
think
toothbrush.
so.
if you know that your toothbrush is in the car,
She doesn't have any pants.
She can take his pants.
take a
rather than-
blanket, take a towel,
Take a blanket.
take a cushion, take a little like
Open the
curtain
cupboard,
drape or
find
something.
some of his clothes.
Oh my God.
No, I would never. Sometimes, like when I don't have my glasses on, I've picked up the toothbrush and I like put it and I'm like, and I immediately know it's not mine and I like feel disgusting.
Yeah. Erin, that's a
Yeah.
revelation.
I'm not saying I use other people's toothbrushes, but she seems very concerned about the toothbrush. How is going to a complete other bathroom easier than just nabbing his?
Or even just like, hey man, hey man, good morning. Do you know where my stuff is? I can think of one last connection to Twilight that was a big part of our episodes, and that was the absolutely unhinged timeline that those books had. And, you know, it's the same in this one. This is from the 50 Shades of Grey wiki, which is honestly where we get all the good stuff. So thank you to all of the fans that create wikis about their favourite things. But this all happened in 2011. And so on the 9th of May, Anna first interviews Grey. 4 days later is Kate and Anna's last day of classes before finals. And then the very next day, on the Saturday, is when Christian meets Anna at her workplace. I feel like it really kicks off in the next week because they have the photo shoot on the Sunday. It's the week of the finals. The 20th of May is when Anastasia, drunk, dials Christian and he comes and saves her from the bar. The very next day, the 21st of May, 12 days after they first meet, Christian kisses Anna in the elevator. They fly to Seattle in the helicopter. He shows Anna his playroom, reveals the BDSM lifestyle, and they rectify the situation of Anna's virginity. 12 days after they've met.
The jig is up.
The very next day, the 22nd of May, is when Anna cooks breakfast in pigtails. She aces oral sex and then she meets she meets Christian's mother, who has the strangest name, Dr. Grace Trevelyan Gray. I don't know how to say it.
Trevelyan?
Trevelyan? We get it. She's rich. I mean, from then on, it just continues to get crazy. Like, there's not more than a day between any events that happen. She gets the MacBook on the 23rd of May. The 25th is when they renegotiate the BDSM contract. The 26th is their graduation and the spanking and the crying and the sleepover. The 27th, 3 days after she gets the MacBook, she gets the Audi.
That's sick.
The next day, she gets the BlackBerry. Then the next day she moves to Seattle. Then the next day, the 29th of May, is when she has her appointment with the gynecologist. So that is 20 days after they meet. A full 20 days. After they meet, and then we have a very long conversation about contraception. It's her first playroom encounter with Gray. They have dinner at his parents' house and they have sex in the boathouse while looking at his rowing trophies. The next day is when she has her interview. She flies first class to Georgia. He rocks up on the 1st of June, meets the mum. They go gliding on the 2nd of June. They go to IHOP, and then he goes back because there's a situation. She's back on the 3rd of June. And then inexplicably, on the 4th of June, she's like, yeah, hit me with the belt, hates it, cries about it, says I love you, breaks up with him. So that was the 4th of June.
Oh my God.
Not even a full month.
Somebody wrote a note that said, and spoiler alert, but with the exception of the epilogue, all of the events of the 50 Shades trilogy take place during 2011. And I will happily spoil some of the plot points from the next books, but based off one user's calculations, they were engaged for 39 days. And from the first day they met, they were married within 81 days.
I'm shocked.
So the entire trilogy takes place from May to August 2011.
God.
Oh my God.
Actually speechless. So I made reference before to one of my note categories, which was 50 Shades of Who Cares, because the thing that I kept writing in my book was who cares about so many of the things. And I'm just going to go through them. If you've got anything to say, please jump in. First of all, page 21. Anastasia says, once we've eaten, I'm able to sit at the dining table with Kate. And while she works on her article, I work on my essay on Tess of the D'Urbervilles. Damn, that woman was in the wrong place at the wrong time in the wrong century. Why are we getting a book review? Why do we care? 2, all of the detailed recounts of conversations with Ray all seems well with him. Who gives a shit about Ray? Yeah. Why are you calling him? Why do we need to know about this? Helicopter shit? Now, I know nothing about helicopters. Once again, not a writer. This is how somebody who knows nothing about helicopters, air travel, anything like that, and who has no interest in finding out more would write a scene. These are just some of the jargon that she chucked in. Protracted procedure of checking gauges, mind-boggling array of dials and lights. Put your cans on. Pre-flight checks, disembodied voice, tower, PDX, Charlie Tango, Golf Echo, EC-135, Eurocopter equipped for night flight. Who gives a shit? Who cares about the helicopter? And then like her cooking the morning after they first sleep together. She says something absolutely crazy like there's nothing like music to cook by, which makes no sense to me. I don't know if is that a saying?
No, you think you'd say something like it's nice to listen to music while you're cooking.
Well, wouldn't you say there's nothing like music to cook to? Why cook by? I really got stuck on that. She was saying, holy hell, I'm hungry. She was dancing. She had the pigtails.
So embarrassing.
I figured out how to use a state-of-the-art range. Okay. And
also, that was another weird discrepancy in her kind of confidence because she's like, oh, frickin' hell, I don't fit into this world. Yeah. I'm just going to cook all of his food.
Yeah. And I can make a mean lasagna.
I'm going to use his toothbrush.
Yeah. Ew. Also, in that same bit, she was going on about how she's a misfit.
Yes, that song that really resonated with her because she'd always felt like a misfit.
But now I realise I'm not actually a misfit. Christian Grey's a real... Oh, just stop talking.
And then she's like, oh, he's depraved.
Yeah.
But I fit in with him.
Yeah.
So...
Am I depraved? When she asked him, where do you keep your placemats? I contemplated quitting the podcast, quitting everything. I can't read any more of this.
I completely relate because there were so many moments where I was like laughing. This is ridiculous. And then just one simple line like that would push me too far.
Yeah.
Energy zapped.
It's like one of those coin games at the arcade that I'm obsessed with. And you shoot the coins and then, you know, it pushes back. And then every now and then it all just goes over the edge. That put me over the edge. Where do you keep your placemats? You're 21. Placemats. When she was talking to her mother on the phone, she said her precious words give me a warm glow inside. Why do we care about this? Here's another instance of her on the phone to Ray. My heart swells talking to Ray and a huge lump forms in my throat. He has been my constant through all of Mom's romantic ups and downs. We have a special bond that I treasure. Even though he's my stepdad, he's always treated me as his own, and I can't wait to see him. It's been too long. His quiet fortitude is what I need right now, what I miss. Maybe I can channel my inner Ray for my meeting tomorrow. I could not handle it. And then like they're packing up their house. I don't understand. Like that happened over like 8 days or something. Why was packing up their house such a big plot?
And she didn't even live in the house.
She says the physical activity of boxing everything up has been a welcome distraction, and I'm tired. I want a good night's rest. Okay, Anastasia. And then one more thing to end this little section of 50 Shades of Who Cares is, for some reason, like as they're about to have sex, she makes this astute observation. Holy cow, men carry a lot of crap in their pockets. Anastasia, it's not the time. Also, no one cares.
I kind of thought it was going to be like some sort of pack, like a rat king, but for like
A what?
a rat king.
What do you mean?
Like when all the rats latch together and form the rat king.
I don't know what you're talking about. Is this a real thing that happened?
I don't know. I'm actually unclear. Let's Google. Yeah. Jesus, it's real.
Laura's lost her mind.
A rat king is a collection of rats or mice whose tails are intertwined and bound together in some way. This could be the result of an entangling material like a sticky substance such as sap or gum, or the tails being tied together. Originally comes from a German term, Rattenkönig.
Oh, I hate this. Oh, I've just Googled it. Yuck. Oh. Oh, yuck.
It was translated into French, Roi de Rats.
Oh, it's awful. That's worse than the naughty.
Well, that's what I thought it would be. I thought it would kind of be like a rat king, but with penises, and misery would be in the middle of it all.
So you thought there would be multiple peni?
Yeah, I believe that's the technical term.
Like from multiple people, or
Yeah.
Lo had more than one?
No, I thought from multiple people. I thought it would be like, you got to deal with the whole pack.
I thought there would be like long, like spindly fingers or something, like reaching in and grasping. I don't really know what I thought. Anyway, really glad we've unraveled all these knots for today.
A rat king found in 1930 in New Zealand. Displayed in the Otago Museum in Dunedin, was composed of immature black rats whose tails were entangled by horsehair. It's actually just running through all of the rat kings that have been found through history and where they are.
I don't like Rat King.
I wonder if our crash outs would be so intense if we hadn't had Twilight setting the bar so high from such a young age.
Wouldn't it be amazing if we knew how many times we've mentioned it across the whole podcast? Where's our fake producer when we need him?
Surely too many to tally.
Thinking about all the times we've mentioned Twilight, though, which ones do you think would be your favourite?
I mean, the timeline of events for each book is so crazy, but the Twilight timeline has to take the cake.
We really need to address the time the events of this book took place over, because it is truly bonkers, and I think it will give context to a lot of the discussion that I anticipate us having. So I've pulled this info from the Twilight Lexicon, which we should include in the show notes. So I have to give my thanks to them for this truly staggering breakdown. Bear with me on this. It's a little bit long, but I think it's really, really worth discussing. On January 17th in 2005, Bella Swan moves to Forks, Washington. The next day, she goes to school for the first time and meets Edward Cullen, who smells her blood, wants to kill her, and leaves town for a week, returning on the 24th of January. The day after Edward returns, Bella is almost crushed in a car accident, but he saves her. He then proceeds to ignore her from January 26th through to March 2nd, which is also the first night that he watches her sleeping without her knowing.
Oh my God.
On the 3rd of March, Bella eats lunch with Edward and he drives her home. And then on the 6th of March, after learning about the cold ones from Jacob Black the day before, Bella does some crafty internet searches and starts to formulate some theories. Edward skips school for the next 2 days, and then on March 8th, he stops the thugs attacking her in Port Angeles, buys her 2 Cokes, and admits he's a vampire.
And the ravioli, mushroom ravioli.
Oh,
Totally true.
When they're eating that, I was really hungry. I
Yum.
wanted to eat some of
I want
that.
that for lunch.
I'm so jealous.
Oh my God. It always sounded good.
I know. Anyway, so that's soon in. The jig is up. And then the next day at school, they announce that they're a couple. And 2 days after that, on March 12th, they go to the meadow and Edward tells Bella, "You are my life now."
In response to her saying, "I love you," he says, "You are my life now."
It's so cold.
He says simply.
To blow your mind further, the next day on March 13th, Bella officially meets Edward's family. They play a ripper game of baseball and the vampire James sets his murderous little eyes on Bella. That same night, she leaves Forks and spends the next day in Phoenix, where she's stowed away under the watchful eyes of Alice and Jasper. The day after that, she sneaks away from them, is promptly tricked, trapped, and almost murdered. But thankfully...
Wow, it's almost like as if she'll do this again 16 times throughout the whole series.
Rinse and repeat, baby. Anyway, Edward sucks the poison out of her system and saves her. She reawakens on March 18th with extensive injuries. The book ends on a vague date in May when Edward takes Bella to prom. So this barely takes place over 5 months, and it is a very generous 5 months. So just think about that. Chew on that. And let us begin.
From memory, we recorded all 4 Twilight Saga episodes over 2 days. When I think about that, no wonder by the time we got to the Breaking Dawn episode, we were screaming about eggs. So, you know what I thought was really funny about her cooking? Like, she was like, I was hungry, so I thought I'd make a simple meal. Fried chicken. I've never made fried chicken because it just seems like too much effort.
When that happened, I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
How is that your simple go-to meal?
She's a suburban mum, honestly. She's a soccer mum.
When Edward had bought all the food, he was like, oh, I'll get some chicken drumsticks just in case Bella wants some fried chicken.
Breadcrumbs.
In the middle of the night. Need some eggs for it. Oh, she's having enough eggs anyway.
So many eggs.
Where are they getting all these eggs from? How many eggs did they pack? Maybe this is like the Easter egg for Emmett's eggs that he has in Twilight. Like, what is the egg? Egg. Help me understand egg. Why does she eat so many eggs? I don't understand, babies. You can't even eat eggs if you're pregnant.
It's not even a...
Can you not eat eggs if you're pregnant?
You're not supposed to eat raw eggs past a certain point, right? I think.
I mean, she's not eating raw eggs.
I was thinking it was like, oh, I want to eat raw because my baby's a vampire. But like,
I think it would have made more sense to have, like, for her to develop, like, a hankering for medium rare steak.
yeah,
Or
give me some mince.
With some blood in it, yes.
Yeah, I don't know.
That would make sense. The egg thing is strange. Her farts would be so gross.
I don't think that
Edward's up
Stephanie's...
all night watching her.
He wakes her up and he's like, Bella, I think you need a human minute.
My tummy hurts.
Bella, I think you need to do a big shit.
Like, super smell. Sorry, there's nowhere on that island. Not there. That is a really important point. It's something we don't talk about enough.
I don't know if I can talk about it.
The egg meltdown is particularly funny, but I don't know which heightened emotion we can use to explain away your meltdown about Breaking Dawn in a completely unrelated episode.
Don't forget new things that made you cry.
New things that made me cry. What did I tell you?
Something about Jacob.
Jacob?
Yeah, I was shocked.
Did Jacob make me cry?
Yep.
I know that I cried in another place. I cried when Bella showed Edward her mind at the end of Breaking Dawn, which is quite embarrassing.
I think it was when he got the wedding invitation.
Oh, yeah, 100%. No, that's it. Yeah. So, yeah. That's right. I forgot about that. So it wasn't really that I was crying about Jacob. It was Edward related because of course it was. But I was crying. Let me read it out to you. It's so nice. God, I blocked that from my mind. But
I remember because you told me and I was like, oh, I really can't even pretend to relate to this.
What was really funny was after I took a photo and sent it to you, I was like, oh, it's actually not that nice. So even I know. Okay, so this is the part that I cried about. It's when Jacob has opened his wedding invitation. It's a note from Edward and it says, Jacob, I'm breaking the rules by sending you this. She was afraid of hurting you and she didn't want to make you feel obligated in any way. But I know that if things had gone the other way, I would have wanted the choice. I promise I will take care of her, Jacob. Thank you for her, for everything. Edward.
God, Jesus.
It's so nice. I've got tears in both eyes.
You got so red in the face. I could see it coming.
I need to get a tissue now and wipe my eyes. I had a pretty good idea of the timeline of when we first started reading Twilight, but I was so glad when you found your diary entries so we could confirm the timeline of when we first read these books. No one out there can say we are fake fans. We were there when the texts were written.
I told you that I was counting special mentions of something, and I'm actually so excited to have found this. On the 15th of January 2008, my diary entry said this: Holy moly, I just read the best book. It was called Twilight by Stephanie Meyer. The main characters are Bella Swan and Edward Cullen. Edward is flawless, perfect, and I am in love. I want to get back to reading Twilight for the second time now. Bye! And then 5 days later on the 20th, I finished reading Twilight twice, and now New Moon and Eclipse. They were all amazing and I'm more in love with Edward than ever. I swear, ... if he were real. On the 8th of February, I just read the end of New Moon again. Ha, ha, ha. I was absolutely bawling. Tears were streaming down my face and I was sobbing like crazy. It was funny. Edward always says stuff that makes me cry. He's just so perfectly romantic and gentle, caring, witty, and old-fashioned. I love him. On the 18th of March, I reread the Twilight series again and I cried again. Ha, ha, ha. Edward's just too perfect. I was never Team Jacob.
I agree with all of your points.
Why do I feel like that's just the tip of the iceberg?
Well, Laura, I think your Twilight spider monkey senses must be tingling. We're just about to wrap up our walk down memory lane. Although, let's be real, we'll be talking about this again tomorrow. I've prepared something for you. A true Twilight Saga Mega Mix extravaganza. This is a small snippet of all of the times we have mentioned Twilight, New Moon, Eclipse, Breaking Dawn, and Midnight Sun over the course of our last 50 episodes. There's nothing left to say other than enjoy. We can't go an episode without mentioning Twilight.
No, this is so Jacob and Edward, where Edward's always like, I just want to keep you safe. And then Jacob's like, you gotta let her fly. She's a peacock.
The font appeared to be almost identical to the font in Twilight.
Amryn is
Rosalie. But also, too, why is every book that we read Twilight?
This is Renesmee.
Another Twilight.
my only point of reference, but like Twilight.
I thought that was so much more lovely than any scene in, I guess, Eclipse.
The Twilight curse returns, but I thought we were going to have a Midnight Sun moment.
Is that certain other book, Twilight?
I won't name any names.
Don't be coy.
as we saw in Twilight, who will win in a fight? The vampires have impenetrable skin and werewolves can like rip you to shreds.
I don't know why I just assumed you were referencing Twilight with...
I think it's kind of like imprinting.
Yeah.
How many times can we talk about Twilight?
Or is the same as Alice from Twilight.
None of them, I think, would have filled us with as much excitement as reading the Twilight Saga.
Well, true.
Cassian as Emmett.
The vampires train for the newborn army. That just creeped me out in Eclipse.
The only thing I can think of is like sleep talking in Twilight, but that's not the same thing.
Edward when he builds that little cabin
And then she gets turned into a vampire.
This comes from the Hunger Games wiki, which I do have to say is not as good as the Twilight wiki.
It was a real Edward Cullen at the beginning of New Moon moment.
My life was completely consumed by Twilight and childbirth.
baby breaks her spine.
It was leaning more Twilight without any of the good things.
I had another quick little link to Twilight.
Dare I draw another Twilight comparison as well?
Like New Moon.
And it was giving me Twilight Meadow vibes.
And Edward has to stand there and listen to Jacob's thoughts.
There were a couple of points throughout this book where I was like, is this a dig at Twilight?
Books that aren't Twilight can be fun.
Twilight Saga Megamix Extravaganza.
Edward Cullen, the most toxic of all, we love him.
It was giving Edward vibes,
Though I hate to say it, Twilight by Stephanie Meyer.
but on a sliding scale of Twilight to Hunger Games.
They were happening when Twilight became popular.
I know I talked about this a little bit reading Twilight, but
Azrael is Jasper.
I think we'd watch Twilight.
Bella really wants to get with Edward,
That's
and
true.
she makes it happen.
And also Twilight.
Twilight vibes.
I did reread Twilight.
We did get a Twilight mention.
Yes.
Twilight it is.
Once again, rears
Twilight
its
is
beautiful
the
head.
blueprint.
Oh my God, you're beautiful.
Thank you so much for talking lit and shit with us for 50 episodes straight. Our next podcast book will be Babel by R.F. Kuang. Have your say on what we read next by keeping an eye on the link in our show notes and on our socials. Make sure you subscribe to the show, and if you want to be on the same page as us, follow us at talklit.gethit on Instagram and TikTok.